It was a cold, stormy night. Mia had the house to herself as her parents were out for the weekend. She locked the doors, double-checked the windows, and settled in with a horror movie to distract herself from the howling wind outside. As midnight approached, the power went out. The house was swallowed by darkness. She grabbed her flashlight, her heart pounding in her chest. The flickering beam barely lit the hallway as she walked to the kitchen to find candles. That's when she heard it, a soft, rhythmic tapping on the living room window. Mia froze. The tapping grew louder. Summoning her courage, she moved towards the source of the sound. Through the rain-streaked glass, she saw a shadowy figure standing perfectly still. Panic surged through her veins. She backed away, fumbling for her phone, only to realize it was dead. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from upstairs. Someone, or something, was in the house. Clutching a kitchen knife, Mia crept up the staircase, the floorboards groaning beneath her weight. The noise led her to her bedroom door, which was slightly ajar. She pushed it open, her flashlight trembling in her hand. Inside, the room was empty, except for a message scrawled across the mirror in red. "I'm closer than you think." The flashlight flickered and went out, plunging her into darkness. She felt a cold breath on her neck and heard a raspy whisper, "Run." She screamed, bolting for the door, but her escape was cut short. The last thing she saw was her reflection in the mirror, but it wasn't alone. A pair of glowing eyes stared back at her from the darkness behind. The next morning, her parents returned to find the house undisturbed, except for a single chilling message on the mirror, "She's with me now." It was nearly midnight when Alex sat down to study. The small apartment was silent except for the ticking of the clock. Living alone was usually peaceful, but tonight something felt off. The air seemed heavier, and every creak of the building felt unnervingly loud. As Alex flipped through the pages of a textbook, there was a faint knock on the door. Startled, he froze. It was late, and no one had any reason to visit. He tiptoed to the peephole and peeked out. No one was there. "Probably the wind," he muttered, trying to shake off the unease. Returning to the desk, he heard it again, this time louder, more insistent. Another knock echoed, followed by what sounded like soft whispering from the other side of the door. His heart raced. Gathering his courage, Alex yanked the door open. The hallway was empty. Breathing heavily, Alex locked the door and sat on the couch, clutching his phone. Suddenly, his phone screen lit up with a notification. Unknown device connected. Confused, he looked around. He hadn't connected anything new. That's when the lights began to flicker. From the corner of his eye, Alex noticed movement in the reflection of the dark TV screen. A shadowy figure stood behind him. Turning around quickly, he found nothing but empty air. Fear crept in like ice, and his breathing quickened. "Who's there?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. The reply came, soft but chilling, directly behind his ear. "You should have left the door closed." Alex bolted into his bedroom, slamming the door shut. He tried to call someone, anyone, but his phone showed no signal. Then a knock came on his bedroom door, slow and deliberate. Suddenly, the door swung open and the room went black. Alex screamed, the sound swallowed by the void. When the lights flickered back on, the room was empty. His textbooks, his phone, and even his reflection in the mirror were gone. The next day, his apartment was found abandoned. On the wall, scrawled in uneven handwriting, was one word: "Mine." Emma had never been afraid of staying alone at night. When her roommates left for a weekend trip, she was excited to have the apartment to herself. The first few hours passed uneventfully as she caught up on her favorite TV shows. But as the clock struck midnight, a strange unease settled over her. The sound of creaking floorboards broke the silence. Emma froze, her eyes darting toward the hallway. She convinced herself it was the old wooden flooring expanding. Yet minutes later she heard it again, this time closer. She tiptoed toward the hallway and peeked around the corner. Nothing. Returning to the living room, she found the window slightly ajar, even though she was sure she had locked it earlier. A chill ran down her spine. Closing it quickly, she turned to find her phone lying on the couch, displaying a new notification. "Get out?" Her hands trembled as she picked it up. Thinking it was a cruel prank, she tried calling her friends, but the phone lost all signal. Suddenly, a loud knock came from the front door. Mustering her courage, she approached and peered through the peephole. No one was there. Emma backed away, her heart racing. A whisper echoed from behind her. "You shouldn't have stayed." Spinning around, she saw a shadow dart past her. She screamed, bolting into her room and locking the door. The next morning, Emma's roommates found her curled up in the closet, pale and trembling. She refused to speak of what she saw, but the front door had been scratched with the words, "See you again." Subscribe, like, and share to keep the horror alive.